Denny Hamlin, a native of Chesterfield, Virginia, a veteran racer in the NASCAR Cup Series division who recently capped off his 20th consecutive season of competition. Certain terms that could highlight Hamlin's career include provocateur, entertainer, fighter, talented, and accomplished. Another term that resonates above all, Hall of Famer. Long before Hamlin became the future NASCAR Hall of Fame competitor he is today, he had to audition and showcase his potential on the track before a breakthrough moment occurred. That moment occurred on this date, November 6th, where 20 years ago, Hamlin was announced as a full-time Cup Series competitor for the first time ever. The ride he was promoted to for the upcoming season remains the same to this date. The number 11 entry for Joe Gibbs Racing. Greetings, race fans and motorsports enthusiasts around the world. My name is Andrew Kim, and this is Retro Motor Vibes, where I highlight anniversary stories and break down motorsports events near and far. Without further ado, let's take a trip down memory lane as today marks the 20th anniversary of when Denny Hamlin was announced to pilot Joe Gibbs Racing's number 11 entry in the Cup division. At the start of the 2005 season, Hamlin, who had signed a driver development contract deal with Joe Gibbs Racing during the previous season, was campaigning in his first full-time season with the organization and in the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, previously known as the Busch Series division. Meanwhile, Joe Gibbs Racing's number 11 entry was fielded as a full-time entry for the first time, alongside the team's two other championship-winning entries, the number 18 and number 20 entries. The driver who piloted the number 11 during the start of the 2005 season was former sprint car champion and driver Jason Leffler. 21 races into the 2005 season, however, Leffler was released by the organization after he had failed to qualify for one event, that being Charlotte Motor Speedway in May, and had finished no higher than 12th. So with Leffler out, Joe Gibbs Racing spent the remainder of the 2005 season evaluating their driver options for the 11 entry for the remainder of the 2005 and prior to the 2006 season. The options were weighed between two-time champion and current NASCAR Hall of Famer Terry Labonte, sprint car standout and champion J.J. Yaley, who was also under a driver development deal with Joe Gibbs Racing, and Denny Hamlin. Over the course of the next 12 events and during the three driver evaluation tests, Labonte campaigned in 4 races. Driving the number 11 car, Labonte finished as high as 9th but finished 37th, 40th, and 27th during his other 3 starts. And he also started as high as 20th during his stint. Meanwhile, Yaley, who also campaigned in 4 races, recorded respective finishes of 39th, 34th, 25th, and 29th, despite starting as high as 8th during the stint. Beginning at Kansas Speedway in early October, it was Hamlin's turn. And in 4 starts, Hamlin recorded back-to-back 8th place results, Charlotte and Martinsville Speedway in October, and he also qualified twice in the top 7 region, 7th during his debut at Kansas Speedway and 5th at Martinsville. Hamlin's results were enough for Joe Gibbs Racing to affirm its decision to promote Hamlin's status as a full-time Cup Series competitor for the remaining 3 events of the 2005 season before the 2006 season commenced. The announcement of Hamlin's promotion occurred hours before he competed at Texas Motor Speedway, where Hamlin recorded a season best 7th place result. Only a week later at Phoenix Raceway, Hamlin then notched his first Cup career pole and led 23 laps. The decision to sign Hamlin commenced on a high note in 2006, when the Virginia native became the first ever competitor to win NASCAR's non-points preseason Budweiser Shootout feature at Daytona International Speedway. He then proceeded to score his first 2 Cup career victories by winning both Pocono Raceway events on the schedule, and to go along with a total of 8 top 5 results, 20 top 10 results, 418 laps led, and an average finishing result of 12.5, Hamlin became the first rookie competitor to make the playoffs, and he remained well inside championship contention throughout the final 10 events of the year and leading up to the final event of the year before he ultimately settled in 3rd place in the standings. And on top of that, he claimed the Rookie of the Year title. Since then, Hamlin's career has evolved and skyrocketed beyond the heights that exemplify his resilience, fierce determination, and competitiveness on the track. This past season, Hamlin crossed off 721 career starts in the NASCAR Cup Series division, all of which have occurred while driving the number 11 entry for Joe Gibbs Racing. Even when the organization swapped manufacturers from Chevrolet to their current nameplate of Toyota that started in 2008, the significance of Hamlin piloting the exact entry in the same organization that first signed him for his debut, audition, and then first full-time campaign in the early 2000s signifies a successful long-term partnership that has and continues to be etched between the organization and the competitor. Having made his 700th Cup career start this past June, Hamlin is one of 10 competitors to win at least once after surpassing 700 starts. And speaking of wins, throughout the 721 race stretch, Hamlin has notched 60 victories, which makes him one of 11 competitors to achieve the feat of reaching 60 wins, and he is currently tied with Kevin Harvick for 10th place on the all-time wins list. And at 60 victories, Hamlin is also Joe Gibbs Racing's winningest competitor. Among his biggest accomplishments include winning the season-opening Daytona 500 and the Crown Jewel Southern 500 at Darlington Raceway 3 times apiece. He also won the Coca-Cola 600, NASCAR's longest event on the schedule, at Charlotte Motor Speedway once in 2002, and the sport's annual All-Star Race event for $1 million once in 2015. To date, Hamlin holds the most victories at Pocono Raceway at 7 and at Kansas Speedway at 4. Beyond the win stat, Hamlin has earned 48 poles, which ties in with the late Hall of Famer Bobby Isaac on 10th place on the all-time poles list. He has also recorded 248 top 5 results, 376 top 10 results, 16,319 laps led, an average finishing result of 13.2, 19 career playoff appearances, and 10 top 5 results in the final driver standings, with his best points result being second place in 2010 and this past season in 2025. What remains of Hamlin's career remains to be foreseen, as the 2026 season is scheduled to mark his 21st consecutive season of Cup Series competition. Having inked a multi-year contract extension to continue to drive the number 11 car this past July, Hamlin remains in pursuit of pursuing more victories and the lone elusive title missing from his resume: NASCAR Cup Series champion. The 2026 NASCAR Cup Series season is scheduled to commence on February 1st for the preseason cookout clash at Bowman Gray Stadium in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. This event will then be followed by the 68th running of the Daytona 500 at Daytona International Speedway in Daytona Beach, Florida, that will occur on February 15th. That's all for this episode. Have a great rest of your day, and see you on the next episode of Retro Motor Vibes.